Kind of fast, kind of not. Either way, always running or talking about it. Welcome to the Kind of Fast podcast, powered by Upward Running. Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome back to the Kind of Fast podcast, the show where we talk running, real life, and a little bit of everything in between.
So whether you're in your first 5K training cycle, you're working towards that first 5K, or you just got a big Boston qualifier this weekend like I did, and it's something you've been working at for a long time, and you're really proud of it, this podcast is for you. We share stories, training tips, and plenty of laughs along the way.
Speaking of Boston qualifiers, you just said that one of us in the room got a BQ, and it wasn't me.
Definitely elated for what happened this weekend. We'll talk more about that as we go through the show here today. But big day in Columbus, Ohio, in the rain and the wind. Was able to pull it off, and there's lots of people that I think about for this that have helped me along the way, from coaches to just people who support my journey. And it's a fun thing to have seen that through and get to have these conversations about getting to this point and having the big achievement that I've been trying to do for a long time.
I am super excited to hear your full race recap.
Sure thing.
So it's coming up soon. But in the meantime, speaking of weather, you mentioned on our What Does That Even Mean segment, we're going to talk about the EAS system, which means the Event Alert System. And it'll go perfectly hand in hand with your race too.
Yep. And then the news, we're going to talk about a marathon that was canceled just 90 minutes before the start, and an 80-year-old Ironman finisher who just became, my new favorite athlete, the new thing to aspire to, on that. So that'll be a good story there.
Wait, now that you have your BQ, are you going to dabble in some Ironman?
I don't think that's next. We're not ready to we're living in the moment.
Okay.
Don't make me jump to big goals yet.
I'll check back next year.
Yeah, exactly.
And to wrap things up, we're going to talk about my training cycle, how it's coming to an end, and 3 lessons that I have learned along the way of following an actual structured plan for the first time in my life ever.
Yeah, that's going to be a good thing for our listeners to hear. So it's a packed episode. With that, I'm taking this medal off because I don't wear medals. But I did it for the podcast there. So let's get this thing going.
Hey, drum roll, please. It's time for our segment, What Does That Even Mean? The part of the show where we break down those running buzzwords that you might not be super familiar with. This one is the EAS, the Event Alert System. And Travis, you're all too familiar with this system now after this weekend, right?
Right. So the race I was in had a yellow alert this whole weekend. And when you see that, sometimes you think, all right, that's and you're going to get into what those mean here in just a moment. So even though you don't know what yellow is yet, you will in just a moment. But sometimes when you see that, you just assume, well, this is the first step in them taking it up to canceling this race. And in this case, I can say it never moved from a yellow. And so it was properly used, I think, in this marathon to alert people that this is some crazy conditions, but hey, we're still moving forward.
Hey, that is great. When I saw the notification where it went yellow, I got a little nervous for you. Not even going to lie.
For sure.
But let's break down the colors. So the Event Alert System is a color-coded system that you'll see at majority of the larger races, the larger marathons. You'll see green, yellow, red, or black. And it's essentially a communication system warning runners of how to proceed in their race and in their pacing.
It started back in 2007. The Chicago Marathon had to shut down the race because it got too hot, and it was extreme heat, and it's middle of the race. Some people, depending on how fast they went, got to finish the race. I remember this when it happened, got to finish the race that day. And then other people, they literally put a line out across the course and said, no one can pass here. And so they were just stopping people on the course, and they said it was just too hot, and they didn't think it was safe for people to be out on the course. And so since then, they've developed this alert system, and then others have adopted it.
I couldn't imagine being mid-race and it being shut down.
Yeah, it'd be difficult. And the Boston Marathon when they had the bombings, similar situation. So it's really rare for that kind of thing to happen. And I think given like those two extremes, if it was to happen, like you would have a lot of frustration, but you would assume in these cases that they've got your best interest at heart.
Yeah, I would hope so, at least. I would hope so.
Right.
That's the reason for this system. So let's talk the colors. Let's talk the colors. Words are hard this morning. Green, everything's good to go. Normal conditions proceed as you normally would. Yellow, moderate risk. So be prepared for worsening conditions. So you had a yellow race.
Mm-hmm.
Red is high risk conditions are dangerous.
But the race is still going.
The race is still going. And then you have black. Dun, dun, dun. Black means nope, extreme risk, like races stopping pretty much.
Yeah. Most of the time they'll stop the race and cancel it in this case. Or there could be races where they change the course somehow, like UTMB, the big Mount Blanc ultra marathon. I don't know if it was a black on that course or not, but I know they changed the course this year because of some snow up in the mountains on that one. So I would imagine maybe that section of the course had a black and they said you got to go this direction as opposed to this direction. And so it could be a place where maybe the race is still going, but they still are using the system. I literally don't know if that happened in that situation. But I do know that they had to make a last minute change there to have the runners be in a safe situation.
Last minute change, I can handle. Canceling mid race or what we're about to talk about in the news right before it starts, no. Just no.
Right. Yeah. The Cape Town one here, same as Minneapolis for me a few years ago. I got a hard time handling either one of those. But to finish out the what does that even mean section here, you may have different things than you are even like we've talked about rain and wind, like that was a situation for me this weekend. We talked about heat for Chicago, but it could be lightning. Like lightning happens. You know, my good friend Paul was doing his first Ironman a few years ago, and he is in the last little sections of his running part, and a huge thunderstorm with lightning came in, and they canceled the race before he could finish the race. Like that would be very difficult there, but they thought that the conditions were too bad with the lightning to have runners out on the course, and so that's what they did. Air quality at certain times could be something that could make it unsafe as well. Think forest fires or really polluted city that is having a bad day, and so the air quality can get really bad. And so all these different things may go into the alert system there.
I feel like if it's air quality, just let me run. Like just let me run.
That's another one that's tough. But it's hard to imagine all the different scenarios there.
I know. Lightning, okay.
Yep.
Lightning is fine, but air quality, that one stumps me a little bit. That is actually the perfect segue to our new segment because we are going to talk about the Cape Town Marathon.
Yep, Cape Town in South Africa. They canceled the race 90 minutes before the start. The reason? They had very high winds move in the night before, and it swept through and messed up some of the start line and finish line kind of set up there. And they're known for having some crazy wind and crazy quick changing weather conditions. I mean, that part, sailors who have been going around that part of Africa have known that for hundreds of years now. Like it's widely known. It's a crazy place on earth for different types of things. You would think them of all people would have this completely thought through and have backup plans on backup plans for this type of thing, but they didn't.
No, I cannot believe that they canceled. And this was supposed to be a huge weekend in South African running. So 24,000 runners were ready to go. You got to think 90 minutes before the race, you woke up before your race at what, 5:30?
Mm-hmm.
And your race started at 7:45-ish?
Yeah, 7:30 is supposed to, yeah.
So you would have been up and ready.
For sure. And all these people would have been moving towards the starting line at this point, basically.
That's crazy. So organizers made the call around 4:45 a.m. after meeting with the city's risk management team. And then all the participants got a WhatsApp message at 5 a.m. saying, oh, sorry, race canceled.
Yeah, this would be very tough to take. And here's my thing on this. I think that they made a decision for this year, and I just think they should have had more of a long-term view of this thing. And you're going to talk about this in just a second, I think, but they're aspiring to be one of the world majors. In fact, the World Majors wants and a race on the African continent. Like that is something that they aspire to have. You have so many great African runners who have dominated distance running for decades now. They want to have a race on the African continent. This was the leading city and the leading race to do that in. And so you're going to get 100 years of tourism here if you just make it through and get that actual designation as a world major. And for me, they should be out. They should be done. Like if all it was the scaffolding and like the different things that's around the start line and the finish line, and figure it out. Like you're talking about people, runners being some of the grittiest, toughest people out there. All we need is a line on the ground. Where do we start? Where do we finish? We don't need it to be pretty. We don't need any of those things. Figure it out. Push it back 2 hours if you need to clean some things up or something like that. But to cancel it altogether that close to the race, I think it's a really bad look, and I think it's a look where they didn't take a long enough view of the impact of what this might be.
Yep, totally 100% agree with you. The CEO, Clark Gardner, said, "We planned for every scenario, but ultimately a bigger force had the final say." Okay, no, you didn't.
Yeah,
No, you didn't.
well-written PR guy.
Right? Like, come on, I could have written that. But the thing is, they're trying so hard to be a world marathon, which, first of all, don't love that. 6 stars only. 6 stars only. But this is such a bad look. Like, this is a terrible look. I never want to run this marathon now. You know why? Because they cancel not only the day of the race, but for wind.
Yep, and the funny thing is, I've seen a bunch of Instagram videos since then of people walking around the morning of, kind of in disbelief, and the wind is completely calm. Like, so I'm sure something came through overnight, but it had come through and passed through and was no longer a big deal. I mean, even the race I was in had sustained winds of 20-ish miles an hour all morning with gusts to 40 or 50. That was during the actual race. These winds had come through and passed and weren't even a thing anymore. From what I've read, from what I've seen, this looks like a bad thing.
And think about the elite runners. I mean, they had men who were trying to aim for 208s. They had women trying to aim for 222s. That's heartbreaking.
And all those people right now are trying to figure out what race they can jump in this weekend. Like, where can I go and still use this fitness and still do that? But for the elites, for the people who are trying to win these races and that kind of thing, I mean, there just isn't another race you can jump in that is going to have prize money and things that's going to make you sustainable as a professional athlete.
Yep. Well, my hot take on this is that this marathon does not need to be considered anymore for a world major.
I would concur on that, although I doubt that'll be the case because I don't know that there's another, city in Africa that's like leading for that next big world major designation. I don't know. Maybe there's one in Morocco or Cairo or something like that could use this opportunity to really put themselves on the map. And I would support that if that's the case.
Well, moving on, let's talk about a race that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about a major athlete, Natalie Garbo, an 80-year-old grandmother from New Jersey who just became the oldest woman to ever finish an Ironman at the World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. And get this, she didn't even start swimming until she was 59.
Love this story. I mean, just amazing. I mean, the Ironman is, I have so much respect for everyone that's ever done one. It is not only just an amazing achievement to finish a full Ironman, but the amount of work that it takes to work in 3 different disciplines, the swim, the bike, and the run, just to complete it. Like it is amazing. And to do that at 80 years old and not even start swimming till she's 59. Like I can swim, but I've never swam like for distance, like lap pools and things like that. And I tried a little bit when I was injured last year, and I told people I swim like a barge. So I would if I ever was to try to be run an Ironman of any the half or the full, like it would take me a long time to become proficient enough in the swimming to get to a place where I feel like I could do it. And she started that at 59 and is still crushing it and doing this one at Kona in Hawaii, which is the most well known Ironman out there at 80 years old.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know or might not be familiar with an Ironman, the course is absolutely brutal. So you have a 2.4-mile ocean open water swim. We're not talking about a lap pool here. We're talking about ocean water with sharks.
Yep.
No. No.
And Hawaii waves.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So first you have to battle that. Then you have to go on a 112-mile bike ride and you're going through these lava fields and it's not a flat terrain there either. And then you run the full marathon, 26.2 miles, after you've already battled all that. And she did this in 16 hours, 45 minutes, and 26 seconds.
Yeah. Mitchell last week, or actually on the one that's out right now, on the Upward Running podcast, talked about the last 10K of the marathon of an Ironman, because he's done at least one. I don't know how many he's done, but he's done at least one, and how painful and how tough that is.
You know, I think about, I mean, I've only done a handful of Ironmans and half Ironmans, but lining up to the start line, for me, it was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What? Why? And then, you know, you always hear that 20 miles in a marathon is halfway through the race.
Yeah.
20 miles through the marathon of an Ironman is still only halfway through the race,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And so at mile 20 on the run in an Ironman, you're like, I will never, ever, ever do this again. And you cross the finish line and you're like, I think I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. I mean, you've been out there, and she did it in 16 hours and 45 minutes. So when you get to that last 10K, you've been out there for 15 hours in her case, and you still have another 10K to go. So much respect. Just an amazing story there.
Yes, indeed. She told NPR that triathlon makes her feel strong mentally and physically, and her coach called her the definition of grit and gratitude. And get this, she's not even done yet. She's signed up for 2 more half Ironmans next year, Eagle Man in June and then Muscle Man in July.
Yep. Love the mindset. It's not about the number. It's about the drive. She's proving that if you can stay consistent and keep showing up, age does not matter, and you get to make the rules.
100%. She ended by saying, if you're motivated and willing to work hard, it is never too late to take on a new challenge. Speaking of taking on new challenges and working hard, one of us just became officially kind of fast, Travis.
Yeah, this is 7 years in the making, this past weekend. And so in 2018, I saw an Instagram ad saying that the New York City Marathon lottery was open. And I'd run one marathon. I ran it in 2013, but I basically hadn't run much since then. Nothing structured for sure. I would run here and there, start, stop, whatever. But I was out of shape, overweight, needed to get back into it. And so I saw this ad and I signed up for the lottery, unbeknownst to my wife. And we had an 18-month-old daughter at the time. She loves to tell this story because she said, when I got in, I changed immediately. I started doing structured training immediately. And she was like, we didn't talk about this. I didn't agree to it. What's going on? And so had a great build and a good race there in New York that year. But in that journey was the seed was planted to try to work towards a Boston qualifying time. And since then, I've had many injuries. 2019, I ran Marine Corps, but I had to stop for several weeks during that build up because I tore my calf. In 2021, I was doing CIM out in Sacramento, and I had terrible Achilles tendinopathy where my Achilles got twice the size of what a normal Achilles probably should be, and missed a bunch of time going into that, and had to actually drop out of the race at mile 17 and didn't get to finish. And then earlier this year, but really this happened last fall, winter, training for the Houston Marathon in great shape, got a stress fracture, missed 4 weeks going into the race, still PR'd, but I had to take 10 weeks off after that. And so just didn't have the day that I wanted that would have got me a Boston qualifier, all leading to this race where I came in healthy. I came in well trained. I came in confident that if I can just have the day that I want, that I could do it. And then you watch the weather all week, and it's like, oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And so it was like warmish, like near 70 at the start, super humid, and raining pretty good there at the beginning, as this front is just basically hitting Columbus, Ohio to start the race. And so 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds throughout the race, 40 to 50-mile-per-hour gusts, although I didn't feel a ton of those, I'll be honest, throughout. But tough weather conditions. At times it absolutely poured. You were stepping in, water over your shoes late in the race in different places where you just couldn't avoid it on the course, but was able to go out, hit my paces, grit it out, and finish with a 3:07:59, which for my qualifier 3:15 should get me in next year in the Boston field, which will be actually 2027. We just missed the cutoff for this year, which just happened a couple weeks ago. We were talking about that on the podcast, but should get me in the race because it's the buffer was 4.5 minutes last year. And I think the buffer might go the other way in now that we have the first year of these downhill marathon rules changing in there. So at 7+ minutes under the buffer, I should be good to go to get into Boston in 2027. And I am elated. That's what I'd say. I'm elated.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
I
you
am
so
so
much.
happy for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So I need all the details.
Yeah.
They need all the details. We need all the details.
I'm sure I could talk about this for a long time. So I'll try to think through the race itself. So got up at, well, I woke up at 4:30 on my own,
Wow.
and then just couldn't go back to sleep. So I actually got up about 5:30, started eating. We talked about last week trying to get 200 grams of carbs. I don't know that I got quite there. I was full. I didn't want to eat anymore. Like I ate as much as I could. I got close on that. I went for a walk. Did 2 blocks around the place we were staying, and it was definitely breezy. But my mindset was, this is like beachy breezy. This isn't like blow a meteorologist out of the camera shot, windy there. And so that's what I try to put my mind at, of like, it's like running a beach run. That's what I was trying to put at there. And so got to the race, raining pretty good when it started. Felt good getting out. Little faster than the plan was on that first mile, but felt like I was not pushing or not trying to hit a certain pace, and just kind of rolled with it there. Really cool, kind of fun story here. The first 4 miles goes out to the east. The wind was coming from the south, and so you got a crosswind there, but nothing that really bothered you. At mile 4 to 5, somewhere in that range, you turn directly into the wind for the first time. And in the morning, when I was on that walk, I had read Psalm 23 as kind of my devotional that morning. Just one that I've known since I was a kid, and I just think a lot about. And so I thought that was a good one for the morning of the race. And I prayed. And one of the things I prayed as part of that, I said, Lord, when the wind is behind me, make me a sail. Like, just push me along. But when the wind is in front of me, help me pierce through that wind. And so we're coming around the corner directly into the wind. And I feel like I've been around these shorter people or some females and things like that. And suddenly this guy passes me in a white shirt, who's got to be 6'5". Like, he was broad shouldered, taller. You don't see many guys like that running that fast, at around 7-minute pace. And so I immediately think back to the prayer from that morning, and I go, you have sent me someone here to pierce the wind for me. This is amazing. So I jumped in behind him. He was running a little bit faster than I had planned. It ended up being my fastest mile of the race, just by a couple seconds. into the wind because I was just thinking the whole time, like, thank you, Jesus, for putting this in front of me and allowing me to kind of run behind this taller guy who can break the wind for me on this mile. And so that was kind of an interesting start to that. I don't know if there's. I'll pause and see if there's anything you want to comment on that one.
Dad, that is no coincidence. No coincidence at all. I mean, a 6'5" guy running 7-minute mile.
Yeah,
like, that's unheard of.
It's uncommon for sure. Yeah.
Aw.
So from there, you kind of work your way in and out of some neighborhoods, and so my wife and daughter, we talked about them giving me a bottle around mile 12 at a certain place that would have the sodium that we talked about last week that I would need during a race like that. So I found them at 12, right where they said they were going to be, and got that bottle and kind of worked through that. All of my nutrition kind of went as planned, although I had one of those flex bottles that I keep my Morton mix in. And so to clean those things, you take the top off that kind of squirts in your mouth. And so I had noticed it had been getting a little loose the last couple of times. And so I'm about halfway through that bottle and the top pops off. And so I did lose half of the bottle. And I thought about your question last week. What would you do if you lost some of your nutrition? But I was already like 20-ish miles in, and I was doing okay. So I didn't get all the nutrition, and I could have never thought.
I jinxed you.
Yes, totally. I could have never thought that was going to be one of the things there. But yeah, worked my way through. I think I ran a 1 minute positive split in the end, which
Okay.
is not too terribly bad. And that can largely be attributed to mile like 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. You go over maybe the hilliest part of the course, which is not crazy hilly. Columbus is a pretty flat town there. But during this time, the wind was it was hitting you directly in the nose. I mean, it's just blowing, and you're going up this path, and you still have, 8-ish miles to go, and pretty demoralizing, to be honest. Like, you're just out there and you're like, one of the things that I told a guy from my town, his name is Christian. He was there at the race too, and we lined up right before. It was his first marathon, and the thing I told him right before it started, I thought about myself during the race. I heard a marathoner one time say, just because it feels bad now doesn't mean it's going to get worse. And I think it's such a great statement, because sometimes you just think this is a linear path of how bad I feel. And if I feel terrible, and you should think about this next week too, in the middle of your race, when you're at mile 9 and you're feeling terrible, just because it's getting worse, it feels bad now, it doesn't mean it's going to continue to get worse. I may feel better, or it may just stay where I'm at. And I thought about that in the moment of like, just gotta get through these miles. We're going to turn out of this wind at some point in time. And so I ran 2 of my slower miles around 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. And I've never been able to like ratchet down the pace again in a long race like this. Like, if I would have ever hit a 7:30, 35 miles, something like that, that I hit during that time, I would have just stayed at that kind of pace the rest of the race in all these other ones I've done in the past, but was able to get the pace back down where I wanted it to be, or where I've been trying to hit for that last 10K. And there were portions of that at like 21, 22, where I was thinking, I feel great all of a sudden. Like, I went from feeling terrible to feeling really great, and wondering, should I really try to ratchet down the pace now and see really how fast I can go? But I'd had this plan where I said, I'm not going to really, really push it until the last 5K of the race. And by the time I got to the last 5K, I was in survival mode. I mean, I was grunting and just urging myself through it the best that I could there to the finish, and was able to run the time that I did, and just very happy with the effort and all that. Last thing I'll say is, I am hobbling big time. My plantar fascia, on the bottom of my foot, which I haven't had any issues with, really started bothering about mile 20, and just had to gut that out. So I hope it's just really bothered or inflamed or something like that, and it'll be better in a few days. But right now, painful.
Oh, but your body overall feels good, right?
Yeah. Like, from a muscle standpoint, like, I'm not going down the stairs backwards or anything like that. Like, I feel better probably than any of the other 4 ones that I completed as from a muscle standpoint, but my foot is quite painful.
Well, besides the foot, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So, did you ever find your groovy pace?
Yeah, for sure. And it fluctuated. You know, if you went to go look at my paces, there'd be some that might be right at 7 flat, and there'd be some at like 7:18. And I attribute that to running an effort-based race, not an exact time-based race, which is what I kind of meant by the groovy pace. Like it's hard to explain that last week what that is, but I actually did that very well. When I was running in the wind, it's naturally a little bit slower. When I was running up a hill, it's naturally a little bit slower. When I had the wind behind me or running down a hill, it's naturally a little faster. All along, the effort was about the same throughout, and I think that's what I meant by a groovy pace.
Love that. Okay, last question, because we could really talk about this for
Mhm.
hours. Tell me about the finish line moment.
Um, I'm thankful to Columbus that it finishes down a hill, and so I just was gutting it out down to the finish line. I saw some people that I know yelling for me coming down the hill. I saw my wife and daughter there, and I just kept trying to look as far as I could because I didn't know where I was as far as overall time finishing or overall pace. I'd been seeing the mile by mile splits, but I didn't have anything on my watch that told me overall pace, what I'd been for the whole. And so I knew that every second mattered. And that was one of the things, like we talked about mantras last week. And so one of the ones last that I talked about was stay in the fight, stay in the fight. And so I was saying that to myself a ton, stay in the fight, stay in the fight. You got this, stay in the fight. But the other one that came to me in the race was every second matters, every second matters. Cause you just don't know where that Boston cutoff buffer is going to be. And I didn't know where I knew I was probably over 305. I felt like I was probably under 310, but where? I had no idea. So every second matters. That's what I was kind of thinking. And so actually crossing the finish line, I closed my eyes for a second. I think it was just in a moment of like, I did it, and I just kind of closed my eyes, and the guy in front of me stops. And I like plow over him. And like the medical people are like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like to both of us, like we didn't fall, but I was just like, apologize profusely. I was like, I don't know why I closed my eyes. I'm so sorry, but I did. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, dude. I'm fine. And so that was the finish line moment. That's what I'll remember is like plowing over a guy. Cause for some reason, like, I finished, and then I kind of walked for a little bit. They gave me my medal. I walked over to the side to the railing, and I just prayed for a moment and just thank God for pulling me through this and let me have this moment. And I said all the glory to him, and I said I would profess his name on this podcast today, so I'm doing that now. And I got crazy choked up. Like, I'm not a crier, and I don't know that I actually shed a tear, but I was big lump in the throat, tears in the eyes for sure, because it's a big moment there.
A huge moment.
Yeah.
A huge moment. I'm so glad that we can talk about this on the podcast too, because you can keep this forever as well.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, I am so proud of you. I know everybody else is proud of you. It was really fun to track you during church. Sorry. Sometimes you just got to peek. You just got to peek a few times.
Yeah.
While you were out there qualifying for Boston and all that stuff, I've been in a very different place, the taper, where everything hurts out of nowhere, and I'm pretty much forgot how to run. That's where I am. I've got my big half marathon on Saturday, and this training cycle has really been different from anything that I have ever done.
Yeah, the taper crazies is a real thing. So it's funny that you were there. But why is this one different?
Yeah, so until this year, I've never actually followed a structured training plan. I mean, minus college, but let's get real. Did I really run in college, or did college run me? So I really haven't followed an actual structured plan in it. I mean, I decided I was all in, dedicated, full send on this half marathon, and I followed the plan to a T. I followed every run, every pace. minus the ones I went a little bit faster, and we'll talk about that in a second, in every workout, and I just feel so good. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's wild how structure and accountability really changes things. And once you've trained with purpose, everything just starts to click.
It really does. It really does. And through this process, I've learned 3 things that have completely changed my mindset and the way I train and the way I think about running. And we're going to go over these real quick. Number 1 is variety builds strength. So I used to think like running was just running. Let me put on my shoes and go run 5 miles. Like, cool. Okay. Well, that changed a lot with this training plan because it added variety, the intervals, the speed work, the long runs, the recovery days, key emphasis on recovery days. It was like flipping a switch in my mind. I was like, wait a minute. This makes so much sense. Like,
Yep.
why wasn't I doing this before? I don't know, but everything had just clicked. It pushed me completely out of my comfort zone. I think we talked about on the podcast. I didn't want to do speed work because I was scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared of pushing myself to that limit and consistently hitting those splits that were prescribed to me.
Yeah, it's funny how these all these things work together. The recovery days work with the hard days, and you get better because of both of them, not just because of the hard days there. And I think where you are at right now is where a ton of our listeners probably are, or they could be if they would step into a structured plan in the future. And so I think it's great for you to kind of be realizing this in the moment as we're recording podcasts and kind of putting that out into the world for people to see.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of fun to follow the plan and then check the box. I get like a dopamine hit off of that. Not even gonna lie, like check.
I'm a check the box kind of person too, for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so number 2 is trust the paces that are prescribed. And this one, has been a little bit difficult for me because I love going fast when I feel good, but sticking to the plan is actually key. So in some of my speed runs, I would be consistently going 5, 10, 15 seconds faster than I was supposed to be going. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm getting tired quicker. I'm out of breath more often. Why can I not slow this down? Like, let's slow it down to the actually prescribed pace. And
Yep.
that was, to be honest, I'm still working on that. I'm not all the way there yet, but I think it would have helped me recover easier.
I think you're dead on there. This is something that took me years really to fully understand and to completely do. And so when a coach or a training plan like we have it up and running has different prescribed paces, they're for different reasons. And so you may not actually have a great idea as to why you're being prescribed what you are when you are, because there's science behind it, and a lot of work has gone in to put these different things here at different times. And so sometimes you can feel really good and you go out and do these training workouts, and you might do them even faster than prescribed. And in my old self, maybe you think that you would have thought this as well. I would have thought that's a good thing at one point in time. Like, look, I was prescribed this pace. I was actually able to do it at this pace. That's a win. But it might not be, because sometimes you're training speed work for the ability to get faster. And sometimes you're doing speed work so that you can run a sustainable pace for longer efforts. And if you do that too fast, then you're really not working in the zone that's going to get the benefit that the coach wanted you to get during that workout there. And there's so much more science and nuance to all this type of things. And really, Dean and Mitchell are far better than I to explain what those types of things are. But I think it's really great that through this process, you have bought into the plan and tried to hit the prescribed paces as they're laid out, because someone has put together this plan with great care and great effort to get you ready for this upcoming race.
Yep. And again, hear me say, I am no expert at still following my paces to a T. Like, I failed at this on Saturday, a week before my race. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, what was I thinking? I was supposed to go out at an easy pace, and I was about 15 seconds under the easy pace. It was hot. I mean, it was hot. And so I ended up I was supposed to run 8 miles for my long run, and I stopped at like 7.4 because I had gone out too fast.
Yeah, and you don't want to cook yourself before it's
Nope.
time to actually cook it in the race.
Yep. But I did. I listened to my body, and I was proud of myself for not pushing through and
Sure.
stopping, but I shouldn't have been in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Good thoughts there.
lessons were learned. Okay, lesson 3, last one that we're going to talk about today, because there are many more lessons, but I'll spare you for now at least, is train your mind like you train your legs. So this plan has forced me to show up when I didn't want to be very blunt, to run in the rain like you just did, to run in the complete dark when I am terribly afraid of the dark, to push when my brain said stop. Over time, yeah, your body adapts, sure, but your mind becomes unshakable in this moment. And honestly, like, we're busy people. Like, I work, obviously. We've got 2 kids and 2 different sports that sometimes have 5 to 6 games. I mean, I'm a wife. We're active church members. There's so many stuff stacked. There's so much stuff stacked up in life, and to just find time to run. Like, that was hard, not gonna lie, but got it done.
And what it does when you do hard things in one part of your life, it makes you say, I can do hard things in other parts of your life, I think, as well. And you just figure it out, which is why I have such a problem with Cape Town canceling it, because you just figure it out. I don't know what the answer is for Cape Town in that situation, but figure it out, get it done.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing as part of this too.
I actually love that as a mantra. Figure it out, get it done.
Yeah.
That could be really good.
Figure it out.
Get it done. You know, that might come up again on Saturday. But something that I have been saying to myself over the summer is you have to learn to hurt. Not in the injury way, though, in the like discomfort way, and being uncomfortable and realizing that, I mean, growth happens in that uncomfortableness. And actually, I think that you were the person that said, Claire, you got to learn how to hurt.
Yeah.
And so that's actually stuck with me in these speed workouts is I know I have it in me. I just have to learn how to hurt. So I've had to repeat that over and over and over. Learn how to hurt. Learn how to hurt. Is it easy? No, absolutely not. And I also had to trick my brain and say, this is easy. I got this. Sorry, I can do this. This is easy. It works in a really weird way.
You've talked about party pace and that kind of things. People who've done that for a long time maybe have never learned what the pain cave is all about, what the hurt locker is all about, like getting in there and like just hanging out and just seeing how far you can push yourself, because there's a definitive end where you can end this madness of this pain after the race. And so the only way you can get better at it is to do it. And you do that in workouts like you've had so far, and you help build that, but you really get it in races. And so I'm sure that you're going to find that place and you're going to see your way through it in this race. And then the next time you do it, you'll be a little bit better at it. And the next time you do it, you'll be a little bit better at it. So I don't think this is an achievement unlocked even in this one, but over time, if you keep leaning into it, that's where you can see some big gains there.
I love that.
Here's one other thing I'll note on this. My daughter ran like this junior level, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade cross country races this fall for the first time. So her first race ever, on her own without me doing it with her on like a mile race or something like that. And so we were driving to her first race, and I told her, this goes to the hurting type thing there. I told her, here's the advice I would give you. It's your first race ever. Running sucks in races a lot of times. Like, it hurts and it's uncomfortable. And here's the deal. It hurts for the person that's in the lead, and it hurts for the person that's in last, and it hurts for all the people in between. And that's just part of it. And eventually you'll embrace that hurt. But for today, let me just tell you, everyone's going to hurt in this field, but it's a lot more fun to win. So just go out there and do the best you can. And so not everyone could do that. Certainly she didn't do that in her first race or anything like that. But in the end, that's the thing. The people in front of you in the race, they're hurting just like you're hurting, and just like the people behind you are hurting as well. And so that is a common bond that everyone in that race is going to feel in some form or fashion and at some level. And so you might as well do your best and get the most out of the day.
Yeah, I love that. That is not where I saw that advice going at all. But that's golden. I feel ready. My body is ready. I have worked unbelievably hard to chase this goal. I am probably in the best physical running shape that I have ever been in. So I know that I can go after this big, scary goal to me. However, things happen, and I know that. So whatever the outcome is on Saturday is I am proud of myself for showing up, for getting the work done, putting in the work. So I'm excited to see what happens.
It's been fun for me to see it as an outsider, just following it on Strava and talking to you in this type of format and that kind of thing. For someone to take an extra step into the sport and really dive into it, it's fun to see. And so I'll be excited to see how you do this weekend.
Fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. I did get my pair of race shoes. I got the Adidas. What did I get? Adios Pro 4s, and they are hot pink.
Same as I've got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I run in.
Aww.
And the pink ones are fire. Like they're so great. I got like plain Jane black ones, but those are great.
I had to make a statement.
For sure.
I had to make a statement.
Yeah.
But we will hopefully be back next Friday with some really good news. And if not, we'll go through the lessons of what I learned in the race.
Yeah. I thought about it during the race that I was going to come onto the podcast and talk about my race during the race this past weekend. I'm sure you'll do the same. So maybe there's a little bit of extra motivation that you'll find somewhere along the line.
Probably so. But with that, what are you doing this week? Are you running?
No, I can hardly walk, so definitely not running. And if it resolves itself pretty quickly, then I would think some easy miles starting back next week. Very short, just movement based. I kind of see this as a 1 month reset probably for me, in some form or fashion. And hopefully the foot is just angry at me, not injured. We'll see as we go through the next couple of days.
All right.
How about you? Taper week, so probably not much going on until the big race time.
No, not a ton. 4 miles, 5 miles, and then a shakeout run, and then it's go time. It is go time. And with that, our time is up. Don't forget that this podcast is powered by Upward Running, a community built to help you run with purpose, stay motivated, and find your people. As always, this journey is more than miles. God is in every step. The good runs, the bad runs, the Boston qualifying runs. Whoop, whoop. He is with you through it all. He is with you, he is for you, and he is using this season to grow something deeper inside of you.
Yep, at Upward Running, this is where faith and fitness meet, and we'd love to run with you. You can run with us at upwardrunning.com/kindofast. That is upwardrunning.com/kindofast. And if you use the code kindofast, you get 2 weeks free to check out all the different features that we've got there, from guided runs to the community of people there that's there to pull for you and answer questions and be there for you, all the way to access to coaches like Dean and Mitchell through things like Thursday Night Live. You get all of that, and you can try it out for 2 weeks. And by using the code, we know that you found out about it through the podcast, which is a great joy to us and keeps us motivated to keep coming back on a weekly basis to do these things.
Yep, agree. We will be back next Friday with another episode.
Until then,
See ya.
I said no mess ups. Wait. Okay, pause.